Hey, it's Corbin from Circa 2020. You might be asking yourself, why are we in the bedroom? Because 80% of home invasions happen at night. It's important for home defense to make sure that you can go from sleeping beauty to warrior as quickly as possible. So we're going to go over how I do it, how maybe you should do it, and some of the things to think about when providing yourself with a home defense weapon, a home defense strategy, and just basically what are you gonna do. So, real quick, I'm gonna go over, grab some firearms, and I'll see you back here, right where the magic happens. A lot of people, when they think of home defense, getting their first firearm, what comes to mind for most of those guys? Your inexpensive, compact, self-defense pistol. The only problem with this is you may be able to store it in a safe beside your bed. I have a finger safe, quick access. You may be able to get up and get on target, but can you be proficient with this when your life is on the line? With a short-barreled pistol like this, even a long-barreled pistol, that adrenaline comes up. You're pulling the barrel, torquing your wrist, you're paying attention to what's around you. It is so easy, and if you've ever shot a pistol, you'll know what I mean. You could be standing there at 5 yards, getting familiar with your gun, and then the third shot out of that magazine, you spray 6 inches to the right. Lapse in judgment, little muscle spasm in the hand, got a little lazy with your non-dominant hand holding the gun. The gun moved after recoil. The possibilities are endless on why you can make a bad shot with a pistol, but what you can't make a bad shot with is a shotgun. In my first video we touched on this a little bit more than anything else because, in my opinion, the number one thing in America right now is people arming themselves for their home. They're not people who want to carry that gun on their person all the time. They're not a person who's going to take it with them in the truck, take it to work, and they're not comfortable with that sort of thing. But what they should be comfortable with, and what all of them mostly are comfortable with, is having a gun in your home in the case of emergency, home invasion, robbery, anything that involves protecting you, defending your property. In my opinion, this is the firearm for the job. Doesn't have to be this shotgun, can be any shotgun, but I want to tell you why the Remington 870 TAC-14 DM is the shotgun you should consider when bringing it into your home to protect just that. I picked this up a few months ago and immediately got to work. I do want to grab something real quick and show you the way the gun. So from the factory with the 870 TAC-14 DM, you're getting the Magpul MOE front furniture here for the pump handle. You are getting, of course, the DM part of it, the detachable magazine. But what you're not getting is anything that you see right here from this receiver back, including this AR-15 style pistol grip, your pistol brace, some of the other furniture on here. Obviously, there's a lot of additions. What comes on the TAC-14 is a bird's head grip. How this bird's head grip lines up is right here. That makes it dang near a hip fire gun for a lot of people. The only reason I bought this gun was to turn it into this. I have never even fired a shot with the bird's head grip because I had zero interest in a hip fire shotgun. What I did have interest in is the gray area that we have with non-NFA firearm, that you can put a pistol brace on this gun. The reason they can sell a shotgun with a 14-inch barrel is because they put this bird's head grip on it from the factory and considered it a firearm. It's not a shotgun, it's not a rifle, it's not a pistol, it's a firearm. There's some length, I believe it's 26 inches. If the gun is over 26 inches, not 100%, but I believe if it's over 26 inches, you can have a 14-inch barrel. Or if it's under 27, you can have a 14-inch barrel. So basically they found this gray area where they built a gun that didn't fall into any firearm category. It's listed as a firearm. Because it's listed as a firearm, you can throw a pistol brace on it. First was a Trinity Force pistol brace. I ended up getting a hold of a guy out west who does some really neat 3D printing pistol braces. I think it's MI3D. I will give you a link to his new website that he put up. Any color you want, most of the designs. He also designs end plates, which you don't get with a lot of pistol braces. And they do come with the slots for the brace attachment. Now, I know what you're thinking. Brace or stock? Listen, just as gray as this bed set is the law that pertains to a pistol brace. It used to be that the intent of putting a brace on was to use it as a pistol. If you had the intent to then shoulder the gun, it became not a pistol. Due to the current laws right now, you can shoulder that brace, at least for right now, and I don't want to go into that too much because I'd love for that law to stay the same. So I use it the way I use it, and I'm sure you can figure that out. Now, I do want to go over a couple other things with you here. So we're going to slide up in the bed and go over some of the ways to make this gun as absolutely lethal, let's face it, as possible, and proficient at possible at doing the job at hand. The TAC-14 comes in a 12 gauge shotgun caliber, so with a 12 gauge, you don't have to worry about much. I choose to load up with Cellier and below double-aught buck, 2 3/4 inch. There's no reason to go 3 in this gun. 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck, but this will do 2 3/4 and 3 inch in the DM. I also run Hornady Critical Defense, which right now I just got the Cellier and below in there. I like the clear casings. Call me a fanboy if you must. Switching over to, from the Bird's Head grip, AIM Sports makes an awesome AR-15 grip specifically for the Remington 870. So you throw this on, it has the, it does not come with anything from the grip back, but it does have this threaded end for a AR pistol buffer tube, and then of course whatever brace you want to put on. So from Gorilla Tactical, I originally ordered the Trinity Force pistol brace. Came with the buffer tube, the castle nut. I ended up switching to this. I may switch back to the Trinity Force because I just found out that the guy who builds these builds end caps for the Trinity Force. The only reason I went with this, I wanted to get an end cap. Shooting a 12 gauge short like this, even though this gun's heavy, using a pistol brace without an end cap was like putting an axe into your shoulder and letting somebody hit it with a sledgehammer. So not the most comfortable gun to go out and get familiar with a couple hundred rounds down range. But that's okay. We got her figured out now. I took a AR-15. Gosh, the word is escaping me. It's it holds in the detent for the rear of the buffer, but it's just a plate that goes on the back of the lower where the buffer goes, the buffer tube goes into, that kind of holds that spring detent and all that in place. I did kind of drill one of these out, do a slight bend, and made a single point stock configuration. If I do decide to carry it with my plate kit, I can go single point stock. The sight rail on here does not come on here. The only sight you are getting from the factory from Remington is a bead. Nothing wrong with that at all. The only problem with the bead is at night you need a light source. So, as you can see there, went with a tactical flashlight. Now remember, well, if you haven't watched my first video, you won't. But I told you I was going to tell you how to save money. And this is where it's going to start. Amazon, you can get this weapon light kit that comes with a Picatinny adapter. I actually screwed up. I wanted an M-LOK. I thought I ordered an M-LOK. I got a Picatinny, so I put a small Picatinny rail in the M-LOK furniture here. Fastened it on the Picatinny rail. Not a big deal. But weapon light, I believe, was $8 or $9 on Amazon Prime. Free shipping. I'm a Prime member. So boom, light is done. This light runs CR123 lithium batteries. They will basically last forever. And the nice part about lithium is you don't have to worry about it gumming up the flashlight. Here's where we get really budget. Wish.com. Everybody says Wish has some terrible stuff, and I'll agree. There's some terrible stuff on Wish. But what I was able to come up with, well, actually, I want to touch on the scope first. So I did put this 30 millimeter red and green aperture sight on it. Most people may think that this is a negative idea given the fact that this is a home defense gun. But I do want to go with, if you can see, underneath this sight rail here, there is an opening. You can see the bead. The shotgun bead and the laser and the shotgun bead from about 8 to 10 feet all the way out to about 20 to 25 feet co-witness between inches of each other. And when you're shooting double up buck, even up to 6 inches of co-witness is going to be proficient because the co-witness is mostly up and down. It's very little left to right. So it's fine. If this sight goes down or if I don't need to use this sight, I can pull up, go underneath this sight rail and have a very much unobstructed view and be able to use the bead, the laser, the flashlight. Everything's going to show up downrange. Now, just because I want this to do a little bit more than your normal in-home defense exercise, I did put this sight on it. Now, this sight doesn't have a crosshair, it doesn't have a single red dot. What this sight has is a single vertical line with 3 range marks underneath of it. I will try to grab a picture and throw it in there for you when I edit the video. I'm just new to editing. I'm not real good. I'm much better at firearms than I am editing videos. Wish I had somebody that could do that for me. But that crosshair, that reticle, lights up red or green, 5 different brightness settings. This sight was a sight on Wish.com that was maybe 30 bucks. Shipped to my door. It showed up in about 3 weeks. Everybody out there who is a Gucci gun runner, somebody who only spends top dollar on everything, is going to think I am the biggest joke in the world for buying stuff on Wish. And if you want to think that, that's okay, but I can show you a dozen parts that I bought on Wish that work just fine for me and what I do. And I've ran hundreds of rounds through some of that Wish stuff, and I have not proven it to be faulty otherwise yet. And if it is, I didn't waste any money. So we have a maybe $28 sight here on Wish. We have a $4 laser. A $4 laser that came with the Picatinny attachment. No, it doesn't have a pressure switch. I like running pressure switches on lasers. I do not like them on flashlights. Flashlights are going to give away your position very quickly. If you bump a pressure switch on a flashlight, you could be dead. I don't like that. Pressure switch on a laser for me is okay, because if you do bump it, it's very minimal exposure. Odds are if you're up in the air, they're never even going to see it anyways. So if the gun's pointed up in the air, they won't see it. So it's no big deal. I did put this was probably the most expensive add to the gun, was this sight rail. I believe I got this on Amazon as well. I believe it was about $65. I did have to do quite a bit of work here. I had to trim the sight rail down very thin to go into this pin, because the pin, if you would have a regular non-magazine fed 870, this sight rail would go on, there would be no extra work. But with the DM model, and they do make the TAC-14 without the detachable mag that you'll use to load up the tube here. If you decide to go with the DM and you want to put a sight rail on it, nobody makes one, you are going to have to thin this area here down quite a bit on the sight rail. You're also going to have to thin the back of the magazine acceptor, if you will. Now, it's metal. It's sturdy. I've ran some rounds through it still. But I did thin this down a lot and then thin that out a little bit because there is a male and female bolt that go through to make this work. The best part about using a shotgun as a home defense weapon is this. The intentional rack of the pump, in most cases, is enough to deter unarmed criminals. With armed criminals, I would much rather have, if I have to have a gunfight in my humble abode, I would much rather show up with this than I would with this. This firearm, you're going to get 7+1 capacity on an LCP. Most concealed 9s, concealed 380s, you're going to run 7, 8, maybe 9+1 capacity, 10 rounds, and that's great. But I got 6 in this, but coming out of those 6 is about 120 projectiles that will open up 6-inch holes wherever it goes at 20 yards. Your ability to miss with this is much lower. You have almost 0 chance of missing with this gun, with that laser and light on at night, where you have, I would consider, even a proficient shooter with something like this is probably a 20 to 30% chance miss. For somebody who buys this as their first defense firearm and doesn't go out and get extremely familiar with this firearm, you're probably a 50-50 shot whether you're hitting the broadside of a door, let alone a person who may be moving around in your house at night. So, the only other option that I do want to go over with this is you cannot run a vertical foregrip on this firearm. As much as I would love to, and I have stuck one on at the range just to see what it was like, and it was real sweet. You can work the pump much easier with a vertical foregrip. Because this gun is considered a firearm and you're running a pistol grip brace, that vertical foregrip does make it, instead of being the gray area of the law, it goes into the black. So I am running a slant style 4-finger hand stop foregrip. I like it a lot. I actually like to run it with 3 fingers in here because I have pretty big hands. I can fit 4 and it's fine, but I like to run 3 and then have these fingers cupping for more leverage with the pump with that situation there. Also, if I do that, I can literally just, well, I did it the other day, I can rock my knuckle forward and bump the flashlight on, or I can just bump it on with the thumb. Very simple, very easy to use. Now, if you are going to defend your home with a pistol and you haven't heeded my advice and you think that you're going to be fine with the pistol, you are going to want to run a tactical flashlight. You need to have one beside your bed. I don't care if it's little, I don't care if it's big, but it needs to have lithium batteries in it. And you have to be able to. This flashlight is extremely bright. It has a crazy light flood, but you can also zoom that light down everywhere in between to either show you just the light chip or full moon status. So now, you are going to get a flash strobe, a slow strobe, an SOS signal, a high and a low, and a real low. This light here came from wish.com for about $6, maybe a couple bucks extra for shipping. My point is this, guys. You can put together a really easy to use, anybody can use it, highly effective home defense gun like a Remington 870 TAC-14 with just a couple accessories. You don't have to do this. You can shoot the gun with the bird's head grip and you're still going to blow a hole. It's fine. And I'll say that. I'm not trying to be violent at all, but when it comes down to it, I want you and everybody to be prepared to protect their family. Plain and simple. This will do the job in its stock form. But if you want to throw on a $25 Aim Sport AR grip for the 870. If you want to throw on the $35 pistol brace set from Gorilla Tactical, if you want to throw on a $4 laser and a $10 flashlight and an $8 slant grip, you can. And you can buy this gun. Now, I believe the MSRP on this thing somewhere around $400. I believe when I got mine, it was somewhere around $299. Very, you can find them very inexpensive, because in this configuration with the bird's head grip, they were not a hot seller whatsoever. But knowing what you can do, this needs to be a gun that's in most people's homes who want to protect themselves. I just don't understand why anybody wouldn't. And one more thing quick before we go, because I wanted this to be a theme specific video. I don't want to cover a lot of things like I tried to do in the first video and got scramble-brained. You don't have to run double-aught buck. You can run a bird shot. You can run a game load, a 2 3/4 game load. You can run a turkey shot, 6 shot, 8 shot, 10 shot, 12 shot. You can run whatever you want. I would not run a slug in this gun, being a 14-inch barrel with no kind of rifling whatsoever in it. I would not run a slug. It's probably going to be highly inaccurate, and you're getting back down to the problem that you get, I'm sorry, with the LCP or any subcompact, compact 9, 380, even 40, doesn't matter. Run a double-aught buck, single buck, whatever you want to do. Run a 6/8 shot, doesn't matter. You will deter criminals simply by giving them that's all you need to do. So, this is Corbin from Circa 2020. If you have any questions, just message the page, put a comment down, like and subscribe. The next video, we're going to go over some awesome gear to keep to protect your family and to provide for your family. Gear is super important. You have the firearms, but you gotta have the gear. These days, nobody knows what's going to happen, but you can be ready for just about anything. It's up to you.